Hello, and welcome to the first ever video content. This is Akash. You may also know me as Mangyako. The video content that we're gonna be putting out today is the first video, and it's an alternative to the newsletter that I want to try out. I want to see if it works out because I'm kind of haven't been able to be consistent with my newsletter because I either have to travel or I'm occupied with other stuff. Right, so in this recent poll, you guys mentioned that videos would be better. So this is the first video. So let me know what you think about it. And if you enjoy and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comment section, or you can also just tweet at me. Right, so what we're going to be doing today is go look at Bitcoin from a technical perspective and then look at it from an option perspective and see if we can come up with a game plan and how we can impose that particular plan to altcoins. And yeah, so basically that's the plan. So let's start from the weekly time frame, right? I've already marked out a couple of resistance levels and support levels here. Resistance support levels are extremely subjective. You could draw one a little lower, you could draw one a little higher, so just don't worry about it. So for now, I have the support levels here, but the one that I want you guys to concentrate on is this one, which is $28,815. And the reason why that is important is because the price has tagged the support level once, twice, thrice, and roughly four times. Although there hasn't been a good contact, the price kind of hovered around this level roughly four times since Jan 2021, right? And obviously, a lot of people took this opportunity long and have their stop losses, which is sell stops, present below this particular level, right? And this particular reason, the sell stop liquidity that's present here, is the main reason why market makers are probably going to push the price lower, and that's what I'm expecting, right? So this is one of the main reasons why I believe Bitcoin needs to come down to 28,815. It would kind of reset this whole consolidation that we have going on here, uh, roughly a year long consolidation, right? This whole particular thing that we see here is just a consolidation, basically an accumulation range that's happening here before we head up to the 6-digit range. So that's why you got to concentrate a lot on this $28,815 support level, because I believe ultimately Bitcoin is going to dip here, dip below this, collect liquidity, reset this particular accumulation range, and then move higher. And that's why this particular uptrend that we see here, I think, is basically a bull trap. But we'll get around to that. So this is what I am looking at from a weekly time frame, right? But before we actually get into the daily time frame, I want to direct your attention to this particular 1 hour time frame. This price action is from November 2021. Oh, so the reason why I'm here is I want to show you a particular setup known as the Bearish Breaker. And for you to understand what breaker is, it's basically a demand zone or a supply zone that's been flipped. So basically, a demand zone is kind of like support zone. The price comes into it and then bounces off of it. And then a supply zone is basically a resistance level. The price goes into it, gets rejected, and then goes lower. This is a very crude explanation. Do not quote me on this. So basically, a bearish breaker is when a demand zone is kind of flipped into a supply zone, but there are a lot of nuances to it, right? So this 1 hour time frame is where I'm going to show you those things that matter, right? So we have a basically we have a swing high here, and then this particular candlestick on 9th November, we have a swing high here, and then what we have here is a higher high, right? So when price does this, this is basically an indication of an uptrend, right? So we have a market structure break here because the market broke the structure and produced a higher high. So I'm going to mark this as a market structure break. So when this particular thing happens, right, you look at the demand zone that precedes the higher high, right? In this particular case, it would be this level here, ranging from 66,000 to roughly $66,251 to approximately $67,000. I'm going to mark this as a supply zone, a demand zone, right? Because the price moved away quickly from it and produced a market structure break, right? So when price does this, right, a lot of people, a lot of traders would kind of expect the retracement here to bounce off of this demand zone and then produce another higher high, because obviously we've been in an uptrend for quite some time. So you are not expecting price to slice through this and go lower, right? People are expecting something like this, right? So when price does this, a lot of people that bought Bitcoin, or a lot of people that purchased Bitcoin anywhere here or even here, are underwater, especially when price moves below this demand zone. So any move, so the people that are here are underwater. Let's just keep that in mind for now. So when price produces a close below this particular demand zone, we can say it's now converted into a bearish breaker. So the importance of this bearish breaker is the underwater holders that are present here is are what's going to cause the rejection that we see here. So the people that open long positions here, or bought Bitcoin here are basically underwater when price goes here, which is why any retest after a breach of this bearish breaker is often seen uh, as a rejection, is often rejected. So basically, this is what I'm looking at on Bitcoin from a current time frame, and this is an example for you guys to understand, right? So if you guys are confused, let me just so a bearish breaker basically consists of a higher high and a demand zone that is formed between these two higher highs. When price breaches through this particular demand zone, it's called as a bearish breaker. The demand zone flips into a breaker, and any subsequent moves into this breaker is often rejected, right? So how to identify a bearish breaker? So a bearish breaker contains a demand zone, which is this, the upswing originating from the blah blah blah. You don't need to know that. So another example, the one that I'm explaining right now, is present over here, the one that I just explained. So this is really important, and how you trade this particular setup is you wait for a market structure break, and then when price slices through this particular demand zone, a bearish breaker is formed. Any move into this bearish breaker is where you enter a short position, and you basically close the short position at any of these swing lows here. So basically that's what I'm seeing here on Bitcoin from a daily time frame, right? So there are a couple of things that you want to notice, which is a high, and then there's a higher high that is formed. So when this happens, there is a market structure break, which is this, right? So we mark out the demand zone of the second particular impulse mode that we see here, which is here, right? So now this is a bearish breaker. So a bearish breaker extends, currently this particular breaker extends from 40,794 to 44,387. So any subsequent move after the price slices through this particular demand zone often gets rejected, right? And what we see here is not only are we expecting rejection due to this particular breaker, there is also a weekly resistance level at 42,748, right? And another thing which kind of seals the deal is this 50-day moving average that we see here kind of coincides extremely well with this weekly resistance level. So I believe the upside for Bitcoin is capped at 42,000, roughly 43,000, give or take, right? I am expecting a rejection around this particular level. So the rejection, the take profit levels, like if you do enter short here, which I'm not advising, I would be taking profits roughly around the 35k level, basically these two levels here, which I've marked in green. 35,000, probably 32,000, right? But the ultimate target, or the base where I'm expecting reversal to occur, is around 28,815, which is after collecting the liquidity resting below this. So basically that sums up the things that I'm looking at from a technical perspective for Bitcoin. Let's move on to on-chain metrics. Honestly, and there's the daily active addresses are basically the same. They're hovering around the same levels, kind of sticking close to the 30-day moving average. Nothing interesting here. As you can see here, on-chain volume has been declining since 7th Jan 2022, and there hasn't been a sizable increase to at least back up this particular the recent move that we saw here on 5th Feb. There's no corresponding spike from an on-chain volume, so which also adds credence to our bearish thesis, right? The 30-day MVRV has went away from this opportunity zone into the positive region, and as you can see here, roughly around 8% is where we've seen a lot of rejections. We saw one rejection here on 4th September, 5th September. We saw another rejection here on 8th November, and now the MVRV is again at this particular zone, so I'm expecting the rejection to happen anytime, like right away. Right, so basically that's it from here. But the global in slash out of the money is really interesting, because basically the first support level that we have here ranges from 35k to 40k. Beyond this, we have an extremely massive supply zone here, which ranges from roughly 11,200 to $35,100. What's interesting here is that the immediate resistance level isn't that great, which extends from 42k, roughly 43k to 45k, which is a little above the upper limit of this bearish breaker, right? So we may kind of see price form some sort of a double top somewhere around here before we actually head down, right? So it's kind of it's there's a lot of risk if you want to short Bitcoin right away, because it's extremely volatile right now, and I don't see any top heavy conditions for Bitcoin right now. So that's basically it from on-chain metrics. Kind of doesn't add the ones that we looked at here from Santiman's 30-day MPV ratio. Kind of shows that there could be a possibility for local top around 8.135, 8.5%. But other than that, I am sticking by this bearish thesis that I have for Bitcoin. So that's about it, guys. And if you want to transpose or like kind of place this or translate this to altcoins, is basically I would kind of stay away from longing altcoins, or probably even accumulating more altcoins right now, right away, because I'm expecting this massive drop to 28,815. Right. So another thing that I want to show here is this particular chart from a weekly time frame. As you can see here, I've drawn the entire price action of Bitcoin since November 2013 can be encapsulated by multiple parallel channels here. Although we kind of did see a deviation here on in March 2020 due to the COVID stuff, things have been holding up pretty good, and the recent local top here was formed around the mid line of this particular parallel channel, right? And interestingly, the uptrend that we thought we were going to see here on 28th December uh, took place along the midline of this smaller parallel channel here. So even if we do see an uptrend, right, I believe it's not going to go beyond this particular midline of the smaller trend line. And what's more interesting is that we have a supply zone here, a weekly supply zone, which ranges from 45k to 52k, right? Kind of overlaps with other levels that we're looking at here. If you do want an uptrend to start, we need a daily candlestick close above 52,000, which also happens to be a weekly resistance level. right? So yeah, I did forget to mention this bearish breaker could be invalidated if we get a daily candlestick close above the upper limit, which is 44,387. So a daily candlestick close above 44,387 would invalidate the bearish thesis, but a daily candlestick close above this level here, which is 52K, would hint that an uptrend could be in play. So that's about it. If you enjoyed this video session, uh, make sure to let me know in the comments. If you have any doubts, also let me know in the comments. Uh, the best way to reach me is on Twitter. Just tweet at me and let me know what you think and if you want me to continue doing this every week.